Tonu Rabbanon. Hayoshen b'talisei. So if someone was sleeping in his cloak, and obviously as Rashi points out, he doesn't have any clothes underneath, and he doesn't want to put his head out because he doesn't have any heating and it's freezing cold. So what should he do? He puts his hand near his neck, and that way he makes a hafsaka, the Kari Krishma. V'yeshemrim, and some people say that wouldn't be so good. What he should do is he should put it on top of his heart, because a person wants to have a hefsek, wants the gartel between their liboy and the ever. V'tana kama. Now the Gemara asks a question. V'tana kama hari liboy ra es erva. You're going to have a problem that his heart will see his erva. So he holds the Tanakama Kasova Liberes Erva Mutter is no problem. Therefore, no problem. Omer Rav Huna. Rav Huna says a new statement. Omer Rabbi Yechon. Hoya Mahalach Muvos Hanin Tofes. You're going in the streets and the alleyways, and they weren't so clean. So what should you? Can you say Krishma? Can you not say Krishma? So what does he say? Menich Yad Al Piv V'Kari Krishma. He can put his hand on his mouth. And as he does that, that will be a hefsek for if there is anything which is dirty as he's walking past that will be a hefsek. And what happens about roya soya? What happens if he sees it? Obviously, we must be talking about that he looks upwards. He's not seeing. As long as you don't look at it, there's no problem. So sugi you will see hopefully there in Daf Cafe. What you're not allowed to see it as well. So we have to be if you see, you're not to say Krishna. If it's below, if you can see in front of you, you're not allowed to say. So Krishma. He says, I disagree with this in a polite way. If he would have told it to me with his own mouth, I would not listen to him. So Ikeda Omri, this case did not happen. It wasn't Rav Huna in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, but it was Rabba bar Rav Chona in the name of Yeshua ben Levi. He puts his hand on his mouth, the Kara Krishma, and he reads Krishma. Amalei Rav Chisda, Alekim. Still, Rav Chisda is the same person who says it. Matali Rav Yeshua ben Levi, I would not listen to him. Or mi Omer Rav Huna Hachi. And is this what Rav Huna said? Va'omer Rav Huna said, Tam Chochem, a Tam Chochem, also lamed b'makom tufos. He's not allowed to stay in places of where there's going to be tzar and things like that. What's the reason? Because the Tam Chochem, he's 24/7. He thinks of Torah, yeah, and therefore lefishi efshelo lamed b'li hirur Torah. It's not like he won't be able to have a second without learning Torah. Lo kasha. Kam ba'omed, kam b'mahalach. There's a difference. When we're talking about those two cases, is when he's standing still. But when he's moving, there is no problem. That's the thing. I think the halacha lamaisa, when you say Krishma, you see some people. I'm not saying the halacha is not a lot of places you're not allowed to learn during tefillah. You're not allowed to, and some people they learn to tefillah. So it's brought down halacha. They vanish thinking, the whole time they think it's not. It's just because they don't have a choice. They think the whole time in learning. My Chavrus once told me he noticed other people the only time they learn is when during davening. When they're home, you never see them with a sefer. So they think that Kriya Sittim is during davening. So there's. Pardon? Kama Mahal. Yes.
We're answering that for the hero and the return.
Yes.
Why can't we say the same Krishna? If it's okay to Maharan.
He's going to say it's okay, because it's going to be. We're going to see in the Gemara. It's going to be an argument over here. Kama Omed, Kama Mahalach, or Mi Omer Rabbi Yochanan Hachi, and can we say this answer that there's going to be a difference? Va Omer Rabbi bar Rav Chana, Omer Rabbi Yochanan, B'chol Mokem Middle Lahar B'Divrei Torah, Chutz Me'Mechad Beis HaKisei. That the only place you can't think in Torah, Mahar in Torah, is in a bathroom and in a toilet. V'chitei mahochinami, kam ba'omed, kam b'mahalach. we're going to have to say, do you know what we're talking about over here? Why it's not a problem? Because when you're if you're in a place where you can walk, that won't be a problem. Aini, is that so? V'amar Rabbi Vo, have a kazel basrei Rabbi Yochanan. I was once going after Rabbi Yochanan. So Rabbi Yochanan can't have this approach that when you're walking, there is no problem to say Krishma. V'hava kori, vari kori Krishma. I was reading Krishma. Ki motivim v'ez am tufais ishtik. When I got to this place, said Rabbi Vo, I stopped. Sorry. So one said Rabbi Kava also basrei Rabbi Yochanan have a kori Krishma. Ki motivim v'ez am tufais ishtik. I stopped. Amlei Rabbi Yochanan. Pardon?
He's quiet.
Yeah, he's quiet. He didn't carry on saying Krishma. So now he's got a problem. When he's saying Krishma, now he's going to stop. Now he wants to resume. Where does he have to resume to? Does he have to start Krishma all over again? Or can he carry on from the place he stopped? Now what we really want to say, Arai, is, so Omelei Rabbi Yochanan, Leichen Ahada, where do I have to go back to? So Rabbi Yochanan answered him, Omelei, Im Shaz Kadei Ligma Eskula, if you stopped enough time, let's say Krishma takes you 2 minutes to say. If you had to stop for 2 minutes, then you have to repeat from the beginning, right? But if you didn't have the 2 minute break, then you can go back to the place where you were up to. So what do we see from here? We're seeing Rabbi Yochanan's answering that you can't read in these places, because he was telling him, in this place you stopped. And this is what you should do. Should you go back to the beginning, or should I carry on where I was up to? But Rabbi Yochanan paskin me the halacha. So it must be that Rabbi Yochanan can't hold that when you go through these places, you're able to say Krishma. I disagree with this whole thing. Just carry on saying Krishma. Put your hand in front of your mouth, and there will be no problem. Lididach, but according to you, the Svilach, Imshar, Kedei Ligma, Eskula. But according to you, who hold you can't do it, I'm going to tell you is the answer is Kedei Ligma Eskula, Chayzel Roish. So I'm just passing for you. According to you, who you're more machmir than me, I don't hold of this. Tani Kavased Rav Huna. Now we're going to have a proof that Rav Huna that you can do it. Tani Kavased Rav Chista, that it is incorrect to do it in these places. Tani Kavased Rav Huna. Hamahalach Mvois Hamtuvais Manich Yode Alpivi Krogrishma. So a brisa exactly Rav Huna that you can read Krishma. Now Tani Kavased Rav Chista. We're going to have a proof of Rav Chista. Hoye Mahalach Mvois Hamtuvais Lo Yikra Krishma. You shouldn't read Krishma. V'la'oid Elashim Hoye Kara. If you were reading Krishma, but Posek, you should stop. Lo Posek. If you didn't start reading Krishma, what will happen? Now we're going to have three opinions. Omer Masha Breda B'Shur Ben Levi. Olav Hakas of Omer. V'gam. Which one's this? V'gam Ani Sati Lehem Chukim Lo Tova Mishpatim Lo Yiyu Bahem. Basically, if you don't stop, I give you a mitzvahs, you're doing the incorrect thing. Lo Tova. Rav Asi Omar, he says a different pasuk. Hoy Moshche Ha'oven B'Chavle Hashav B'Chavle Hashav, and Rav Ada Ba'ava Omar Mahacha Ki Dam Hashem B'Zeh V'Lo Pasuk. So all these three things is you okay. Vim Pasuk, sorry, what was that? Sorry, Vim Pasuk, and if you did the correct thing and you stopped, Maschara, Amar Rabbi Vo, Olav Hakas Omer, Tvahazeh Tarich Yomim, you will get Arichas Yom. So if you don't stop, no problems. If you do stop, you get Arichas Yom. Let's just see the Rashi till there. V'chayzle Tefillah L'Mokn Shepasuk V'Omer B'Soich HaTefillah Toho Musek V'Omer. This is Kvar Al Yidei. No, we done already. Chayz Talis Al Savara Mashiesh Ben Talis L'Mala Min Kasafov Kasefa. Sorry, Mavdik B'Svara of Yoshin Orim Kama L'Di Lo Sfirili Lo Hayisim Maskik Lo Hafsek B'Chavli Hashav B'Chavalim She'enach Chukim Ela. Yeah, on strong. Yeah, Ella Hanichig Min HaMoshchem Oven Al Atman Avzeh Al Yidei Dibur Ba'alma Hu Nenash Abdav Azeh B'Shvil Dibur Okay. Now the Rosh, I just saw this morning, interestingly, the Rosh Paskins, where do you have to be chayzus? The Rosh says, I'm not sure we Paskin halacha like this, but the Rosh does bring down. What is it? Okay, after his presence like that, he said, even if you had enough time to go, so when it comes to everything else besides tefillah, the Rosh Paskins, then even if you had a bit of a hefsek, then it would take to finish it. You still carry on from the place you were up to. Okay, that's how the Rosh says. Okay, let's just summarize what we've had so far. We had if a person is sleeping under his blankets and he is naked, and it's too cold to put his head out, so there's not going to be hefsek. What's he do? So we had a machlokas. Either you just put something, you put your hand above your chest near your neck, or do you do it on top of your heart? And then we said the Tanakama often we will hold that there's no problem if you can see the Mokum Erva. Then we had two Meimas. What happens if you go in the Mokum in the alleyways? What should you do? So we had Rav Huna said, name Rabbi Yochanan, you just have to cover you just have to cover your mouth. Then we had the same, and Rav Chisda said, I would never believe such a thing. Then we had some people said in the name of Rabbi Rav Chana, in the name of Rabbi Shub ben Levi, and again Rav Chisda had the same comment. It is incorrect. Then the Rabbi Huna says Tam Chacham is not allowed to stand in a place of the Torah. What's the reason? Because he's always going to think of Torah. And then we said there are two, because we had a memo for Rabbi Yochanan. There are two places that a Talmud Chacham can't speak in Torah. It's going to be in a Beis HaMechatz and a Beis HaKisei. And if we've got this new case, why don't we have the case about in the streets and alleyways? So we said there could be a difference when he's standing still and when he is moving. Rabbi Vos says he was going after Rabbi Yochanan, and I was reading Krishma and I stopped. And then I asked her, where should I carry on from? Rabbi Yochanan told me, carry on, depends how long you stop for. Is it that you could have said the whole Krishma, or is it less? And if it's less than that, then you can carry on from the place you stopped. So he says, Rabbi Yochanan holds that you can't put your mouth there. He goes, no, I'm not saying my own shah. I'm saying according to you, you're machmir, but I disagree with that you can carry on. And then we had the psukim. Now, Omer of Huna, Haisa Talisa Chugeres Amosnov. Say a person he just had, I don't know, he was wearing just a kilt. That's in our one thing. And he wasn't wearing anything above, he wasn't wearing on top. Muta Likres Krishma, he's able to read Krishma. Tanya Nami Hachi, Haisa Talisa Shal Beged, Shal Or, Shal Sak, Chugeres Amosnov. He was wearing something below Muta Likres Krishma. He is able to read Krishma, Aval Tzvila, Ad Jikonos Esliboy. But if you Chasa Esliboy, about with a when he wants to daven Shemoneh Esrei, he has to cover himself fully. So just in case you're on a beach holiday and people say, let's come and daven, if you want to have to do Krishma, no problem. But it could be a problem to daven Mincha. V'Omer Rav Huna. Says Rav Huna, Shachach v'nichnas b'tefillin. What happens if a person made a mistake and he went in to the bathroom with his tefillin on? Manich yod aleim. What he does is he on his shalyad, probably it's covered anyway, but shalosh he puts his hand on top to cover it. Ad shigmar, until he finishes. Ask Gemara ad shigmar. Pardon? What's it? Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Ad shigmar, that's okay. Yeah, ad shigmar Safinata. Oh, sorry. Ella Kedamar Rav Nachman by Yitzchak. Rav Nachman by Yitzchak said ad shigmar Almud Rishon, till he finishes his first part that he's making. So ask Gemara, Lista Glal to let him start. Lista Glal to let him stop straight away. Or let him and get up. Mishum de Rishim Gamliel. He said there could be a problem. The time of Rishim Gamliel. Omer Omud Hachoza Mevis Adam Lidei Hadarkan. If a person is in the middle of making and he stops early, he's going to have an illness, which Rashi says that his stomach is going to swell. Siloin Hachoza. If a person's passing water, maybe it's Adam Lidei Yarkan, he brings a person to jaundice. Let's see, Rashi, Talis Chaga Masnov, the Chasay Masnov, Lamata Achapish Masnov, Lamala, who Orim Kaira Krishma, there still is no problem to read Krishma. Aval, Tfilut Sarichu Liro says, Azma Ka'omid Lifnei HaMelech Olamid, Be'ema, Aval Krishma, Eina, Medaba Lifnei HaMelech. So that's the problem for Krishma, you're able to do it. Cholamatza Esakar. Okay. Silin Shalnei Raglaim. Okay, that's jaundice. Itzma. So, Abasar. What happens if a person's got some soya on his flesh, on his hand? Or could be another case. Or his hand is in the toilet. Can you? Is it Krishma or Davni? It's Krishma. Oh, 1 second. Rafuna Omar Mutlikras. Sorry. It's my sorry. I'm sorry. I'll yad. Not the base. I said Rafuna Omar Mutlikras Krishma. You're able to read Krishma. Rav Chista Omar Oslikras Krishma. You're not able to read Krishma. Omar Rava said, my time Rav Huna. What's the reason of Huna who says you're able to read Krishma? Kol Hanashom Talukah. You, as long as your breathing apparatus is outside the place, then you are able to read Krishma. Vrachista Omar, Osli Krishma. You are not allowed to read Krishma. My time Vrachista said, Kol Atzmoisai Tomar Hashem. Every part of your body. So if there's any part of your body that is in Mitzvah, then you will not be able to read Krishma. So just summarize again what we've had so far. We had if a person is just wearing a kilt, probably shorts, nothing else, you're able to read Krishma. But when it comes to davening, you have to be dressed more respectfully. Like the Rashi said, like you're davening in front of a king. What happens if someone went into the bathroom and he's wearing tefillin? We're told what he does, he has to cover the tefillin with his hand. The question is, how you're able to finish? You should go. So he says, because Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak said that you'll finish the first tranche because, and the Gemara tomorrow, why shouldn't go beforehand? So we got a main Reb Shimon Gamliel says that if you do it, you will become ill, and also when you pass water, you can get jaundice. Then we had, if you had some soya on your hand, or you had where your hand was inside the toilet, are you able to read Krishma? Rav Huna said you're allowed to, and Rav Chista said you're not allowed to, and Rava explained what's the reason. Rav Huna, is it because your breathing apparatus had to be outside, or is it because any parts of your body? Itzma. Now we're going to discuss two parts. The Gemara is going to discuss two parts. One, for example, you've got a bit of tzar, let's say a nappy in a place with a bit of tzar, so that is mamoshes. Then we're going to discuss afterwards the Gemara, what happens, a smell that goes, say a person passes air, that is not it's just a smell that is going to pass. So these are the two things we're going to discuss now. First case is, itma, rechra sheyesh ba'ika. A bad smell, but it's coming from a place where the smell is. It's not because there was a smell. For example, say there was a nappy here and the nappy's been thrown out. That's probably more also. So here we're talking about Reich Rashiyesh Ba'ika. Rav Huna Omar Machikin Dalit Amas V'Kar Krishna. You keep away 4 amas and you read Krishma. All you have to do is 4 amas. And Rashi says, let's see Rashi, Machin Dalam min ha'ikar va'aval pisharech ba'ilov k'goyin shehoyel la'chayrav she'ena roy oisa. So as long as you can't see it, if you turn around, if you keep away daladamas, that's enough. Not all the other Rishonim agree with this. Some people say some of the Rambam learns, you have to be dalad amas away from the thing. But if you can smell it, that's still no good. You have to be a bit further, but you don't have to be daladamas from where the smell stops. So Rashi's got a chiddush. The Rashi says even if you can smell, as long as you're daladamas and you can't see it, there's no problem. Other Rishonim don't learn like this. Amar v'amar kin daladamas v'kar krishma. Rav Chisda says Amar machikin daladamas v'mokin sheposa harech. You have to go. The 4 amas starts where the pond stops. V'kar krishma. Tanya kavaseder Rav Chisda. Loikra Adam Krishma, Loik Neged Sas Adam, Veloik Neged Sas Kolom. Now, all these cases we're speaking, let's see Rashi straight away again. Just Mokish Pasarech, Sharech Kolosham. Loik Neged Sas Adam, Valpi She'ain Rech. So, all these cases, the Raya is going to be from the second part. All these cases do not really smell. One more time. Tani Kavaseder Rav Chisda Loikra Adam Krishma Lo Keneged Savas Adam V'Lo Keneged Savas Kolavim V'Lo Keneged Savas Chazirim V'Lo Keneged Savas Tana Golim V'Lo Keneged Savas Ashba Sherech Ra. So here, there's a bad odor, but it's probably not from that. And if you are 10 tefachim high or nomach asar tefachim yoshev b'sideh v'kar, you can be next to it. Since you are in a different domain, complete domain, therefore, now again, here there's again a machlokas rishonim. Is it you can see it? What happens if you can see it? Is there a problem or not? Or since you're in a different domain, even you can see it, doesn't make it a difference. Let's see. Okay, no Rashi. Okay. But if you can see it, you can't daven when you can see it. The chen letfila, and the same applies to tefillah. Then Krishma, you can read Krishma. So what's the raya? The raya is from the second part of it. So we see a raya like Rav Chisda. You have to keep away 4 amas from the smell, not daladamas. I disagree with that brisa because I've got a different brisa. Eliki had the Tanya lo yikra adam Krishma lo keneged sos adam v'lo keneged sos chazirim v'lo keneged sos kolovim bizman shenosin. So when is the problem? Only when it's with leather, because when it's together with that, then the smell is unbearable. But if not, you don't have to. You don't have to walk away. The only time is when there are skins. So I mean, we remember they used to have different ideas how to clean clothes. We remember from the Gemara Basra that it was also and so it was also detergent as well. Okay. Boy mine mirav sheishes. Reich ra she'ein lo yikar. Now we're going to the other shaila. Reich ra, for example, I think for example, someone passes air from below. Yeah, okay. Mahu amalahu also chazu hani sifid beirav. These mats, which are on the base of medrash, the hanu ganu v'hanu garsi. Now, if you ever go to a base medrash, some people are sleeping and some people are learning. Now, when the people are sleeping, often it happens they pass wind. So the question is, how can they carry on learning? The reason is because for Torah, if one's learning, there's no problem. That is only if you're you are learning Avo Bekrishma Alo, and when it comes to Krishma, if someone passes wind, you have to wait till the smell goes away. V'divrei Torah nami la amrinon, and when we talk about divrei Torah, ela the chavrei, if his friend passed wind and he was learning, he's able to carry on. Av day lo, but if he passed wind and he's learning, he has to stop till the smell goes away. Itzma, we've learned. Soya Iveris. What happens if a person taking out some soya and he's on his way to the dump? What happens? Abai Omar, Muteres Likras Krishma. You're able to read Krishma. Yeah, 1 second.
Somebody else is taking it out.
But someone else is taking out, and you want to know, can you say he's passing you? Can you say Krishma? Right. Itma so very sabai Omar muta likra Krishma. You're able to read Krishma. Rava Omar also likra Krishma. You are not able to read Krishma. Omar by minan minallah. How do I know this yesod if you're stationary or if you're moving? So now we're going to go this nun. We're going to go to the Mishnah about Metzora. What's the halacha with the Metzora? Hatame omed. If a person is Tame, he's a Metzora, and he's underneath a tree. Hatame omed tachas. If the Metzora was standing underneath a tree, vata over, and someone who is tahor passed him, what's the halacha? Tame, he becomes Tame. Tahor omed. If the person was standing underneath the tree, tachas underneath the tree, the Tama over, and the Tame person passed him, tahor. The person who was stationary and who was tahor was under the tree. Even though a Metzora passed him, he is okay. So we want to say similarly in this case, when it comes to reading Krishma, if someone's just passed, you're reading Krishma, and someone's passed you with the Graf Shalrei, there's no problem, just carry on saying Krishma. It's exactly the same as the Metzora. V'im omed, Tomei, and if the person who is in the Metzora stops underneath the tree, then you will become Tom. Also, if one takes a stone out of a house which has been of tsaras, then the same halacha applies. V'rava Omalach Hasam said, I disagree with your comparison. There is a difference. V'rava Omalach Hasam b'kiviyusa talya milsa. The thing is, the Metzora, he has a presence. The thing about standing is, if he's stationary, he has a presence, and therefore that's why he makes you Tomei. But if he's walking, he doesn't have a presence to make you Tomei. And I'm going to learn it from Potter. Talya Milsa, Kedosiv, Bodod Yoshev Mebechutz Lamachaneh. Malach Moshe Vayem. Hocha V'hoya Machaneh Kodesh. But over here, we're learning Amar Rachmana V'ha Leka. You when you say Krishma, you have to be in a place of your place of Torah, and when there's a smell there, it doesn't fulfill the purpose. Says Rashi, so Ves Adam Shinosu Lefano Gref Sharei Alavira Mutli Krotz Vein Soch Laftik Hatama Omer Tax Elan V'lo B'noi Sesames. Says the Rashi is telling us that we're not talking about when a dead body is passing, because when a dead body passes under a tree, everyone's going to become Tom. It's got nothing to do with it. It's only our case. Only talking about special halacha about Metzora. V'lo says hameis guy the meis lo shna omed v'lo shna yoshev v'lo shna holech oil who v'gam Metzora the ketoni lo b'tos kanim d'goli bei rachmona yeshiv d'chsev b'dod yoshev b'chutz l'machna Moshe vay tomei mikan omru omed namik yoshev domi to kvir avamahalach lo kvir. Evan Nuga, Harihu, Kamatsura, Hakesha, Kosov, Zeus, Hater Lechol, Nega, Tsaras, Nesek, Sasabega, Labais. Okay. Omer of Papa. Omer of Papa, P. Chazir, Katsura, Overistomi. The mouth of a Chazir is like a Tova which is passing. Pshita, obviously, Lo Tzricha. Afalgav the Soliminari. You may think it just had a nice bath. It came out of the river. No. Omer of Yehuda, Sophic Soya. What happens if you have a Sophic Soya? Asura, it's going to be Asa. You're not sure, Soya not, Asa to Dab. Sofek meiraglayim mutarim. But if it is meiraglayim, it's going to be mutar. Ikadamri, other people learn. Omer of Yehuda, Sofik Soya Babayis. If you got Sofik Soya Babayis Muteris, it's mutar. Why? Because you don't normally have Soya in the house. But Ashba, if you got Sofik, if there was Ashba in the, if there was Soya in the Ashba, Asura, it's going to be still be Asa because you normally it's Chazik Yisora. That's normally where it happens. Sofim Meraglayim. But if you've got a Sofim Meraglayim, Afilu Ba'ashba Nami Mutarim, it's going to be Mutar. So what's the machlokes? So we had, first of all, the Gemara says if you had a Chazir comes before you, it's like so Veres. We said that's Poshet. We said no. We're talking about he just had a bath, came out of the river. Then Rabbi Yehuda says the first motto. If you had a Sofik Soya, you're going to be Asa. So Meraglayim, it's going to be Mutar. Other people learn, Rabbi Yehuda said, Sofik Soa in the house, it's going to be mutar. But in the Ashba, if you've got a Sofik, it's going to be Asa. Sofik Meraglayim, Afilu Ba'ashba Nami Mutar. Sovelo Kihad Rav Hamnuna, the Omar Rav Hamnuna, La Asa Torah Ella Keneged Omad. When, Bilvad, only when a person is urinating. At that moment in time, that is where the Meraglayim is Asa. Could Rabbi Yonason, Rami, Kasiv. Now we've got two psukim when it talks about the pasuk Seisa when they went to the Mulchama. Pasuk here, V'yoti eloch mechutz lamachna v'yotza shom mechutz. That's the first pasuk. V'yose tia lecha al azneich. And when you go into war, there was a place where you were excused outside. And you had a spade with you, and after you being excused, you took a spade in order to bury the deposit. Let's see this inside, because Rabbi Yonason said, "Rami ksiv v'yod tia lecha michutz lamachaneh v'yod shoma chutz," and you go out there when you need to. That is talking about when you need to pass water. And the next pasuk says, "V'ksiv v'yosei tia lecha al azneich." Yeah, and then it carries on the pasuk. And you have to cover your what you made. When we talk about the gedolim, kan b'ketanim alma ketanim lo asra Torah ela keneged omed. Only when you actually are making bivad. And since the people were in the Machli Yisrael, they were learning Torah the whole time there. You had to go out. Bilbad. Hom nafel la'aro. As soon as it gets to the ground, shori rabbana. One more time. 1 second. Ela connected to Omer Bilbad. Hom nafel la'aro. Once it went to the ground, shori rabbanon. Who de gozrubu. And the Rabbanon, when did they make a gezerah? V'chi gozru Rabbanon b'vadai al pasofik lo gozru. They only made a gezerah when it was a vade, not when it was a sofik. You're going to ask the kasha. All sofik Rabbanons are lekula. So why? So there are two mahalchim. One mahalach is we learn it out from here, sofik Rabbanon lekula. And mahalach is what happens is chazik yisura. If you know that's normally an ashba, that's normally a place where there should be these kind of things. So therefore, we won't say if you got a sofik. What's sofik Rabbanon normally talking about? Is you got a sofik. Is there meruglaim? Here's not meruglaim. But if there's a place when ashba where you normally where you find these kind of things, and now you got a sofik, normally you in that case you would go to chumrah. When the Rabbanon made the takana over here, in the takana they say in such a case you still go to l'kula. That is only Rashi here. Okay, now we're going to get a bit more ad kama. Says the Gemara. Ad kama. Now, Omar Rav Yehuda, Omar Shmuel, Kolzman, Shemetafchin.
Ad kama what?
And now we're going to find that what the Gemara is going to discuss now is we're going to discuss about Sar, when is it you're able to use it, and when the meruglaim becomes dry. When are you allowed to daven there? Pardon? Yeah. Yeah. As long as, so the halach is like this. We're going to see, we're going to have, there are three different cases. There's a case, for example, we've got when you've, if you touch it, it feels wet, but it doesn't come onto the garment. You've got a case, it's the same Hilchos Shabbos, when you, so one case is when you touch it, it doesn't become wet. You've got another case, when you touch it, the second thing becomes wet. So that's what we're saying. Okay. Kol's man shum tavchin. That says Rashi. I've come Yishu al Gabe Kakviyim also. Okay. Okay. V'chein Amar Rabba Bar Chanan Amar Yechon Kol Zman Shem Tavchin. V'chein Amar Rabbi Lo Kol Zman Shem Tavchin. Now, Ginva Mishmei Rav Amar Kol Zman Shishimonika. As long as you can see it. So sometimes, even if it's dried, you can still see on the floor there's a stain. Amar of Yosef. Amar of Yosef. Sharala Amara L'Giniva. Hashtad Soa. How can you say this? Hashtad Soa Amar of Yehuda Amar Rav Kivin Shakar Mupaneh. When it's become crusty, you are able to you're able to daven. Now crusty, you can still see it. So Mota Meira Glamim Boya. So Meira Glayim, which is there's just an impression in the ground, there's a stain. Of course you should be able to. It doesn't make sense. Amalei Abaya, my chozes the samcha aha. Why are you listening to him over here? Aha samach aha. The Amar Rabba Barav Hona. Amar Rav. Soa afilu kecheres asura. Even if it's so hard, it's like it's earthenware, it's going to be asa. V'hechi dami soa kecheres. Yeah, Amar Rabba Bar Chana, Amar Rabbi Yechon, Kol Zman Shezoken Ve'ein Nifreches. What happens is you throw it, and it doesn't break up. So now, and now this other mandam is going to be more machmir than this. You just roll it, and it doesn't. Because normally when you throw something with force, so it should break easily. Over here we say even when you just roll it. That's why she said it's still considered to be moist. Ravina have a kamina kamed Rav Yehuda medifti chazit soa. He saw some soa. Omeli ayin. Let's look at it. Let's examine it. Ikamu panel ilai. Ikadami hachamale ayin. Mefali afule. Has it got cracks in it? Imish sedukin. Says Rashi sedukim yoveshi v'shari. See if it's got cracks in it. Is it? Or if it might have a lot, it's ma with lots. So kecheres, might have a lot, it's ma so kecheres. Amema Omar asura or mazutra Omar muteres. Omar Rava halchasa so kecheres asura or meraglaim kolzman shem tamchin. As long as it is moist, if you touch it and it can make another garment moist, it is going to be also. Meisveh. Now we're going to try and bring a raya from the Reish and the Sefer. We're going to find there's going to be no raya from each case. Meisveh. Meiraglayim. When you have meiraglayim, kolzman shem tamchin osurin. It's going to be osa. Nivlu. If it is absorbed in the ground, or yovish yovshu. So nivlu means that it's on earth that it can go soak inside. Or yovshu is talking about that it's on. As Rashi says, Yoshal Gabe Avonim B'chama. So it dries up in the sun. If it goes into the ground or Yovshu, where or on rocks they can't dissolve, Mutarim. 1 second. Meiraglaim Kolzman Shem Tanchin Asurim. Nivlu or Yovshu Mutarim. My love, Nivlu Dumyad Yovshu. Don't I think that Nivlu is the same as Yovshu. Ma Yovshu De'ein Rishumanika, that you can't. There's no staining. Af Nivlu De'ein Rishumanika, Ha Rishumanika. But if you can see it, it's going to be Asa. Avagav De'ein Metavchin, even though that is not moist. So we're going to be so machmir that even if you touch it, it won't become wet. But if afagav the aim it's going to be also. Now, if that's the case, let's look at the first part. Kol's man shemtavchin also, as long as it's you can get some wetness from it, it's also ha reshuma nika. But if there's just staining, nika shori, it's going to be mutar. You can see from this brisa, you can midayik from the reish, you can midayik from the sefer. Therefore, we got no raya what exactly it means. Leimek tanoi. Let us say it is like a tanoi klisha. Okay, so now what you got? You've got a keli, and you had meruglaim inside it. Klisha nishvachum imenu meruglaim. You had a potty, and you emptied it out of all its contents. Also, likras krishma, you cannot read krishma in front of it. Kenegdo. Or meraglaim atzmo. Now what happens is you emptied it out, and you emptied it out into the ground. Meraglaim atzmo shnishchu nivlu, if they are absolved. Mutter lo nivlu, also they also. Reb Yosi Omer Kolzman Shemutavchin. Rabbi Yossi says, Rabbi Yossi Omer Kolzman Shemutavchin. As long as if you touch them, they become wet. It's no good. My nivlu. Now we're going to try and work out this new brisa. What does nivlu? What's absorbed mean? My lo nivlu. Dekama tanakama. Ilema. Let's just say this one more time. So 1 second. Also, likras krishma. Connected meiragla. Shenishku nivlu. Says this main raglaim atzmon shenifka which got poured out nivlu if they were absorbed mutter lo nivlu also if the word was the word also. Rabbi Yossi says kolzman shematan. So my nivlu, what does the word in this brisa nivlu actually mean? Or my no nivlu the kama tanakama ilem nivlu the ematan. We're talking about it means that there's no wetness when you touch it lo nivlu. But if matamchin means there is wetness when you touch them, v'asa Rabbi Yossi calls shemtamchin who'd also harushima nika shori. So how we can learn Rabbi Yossi? He has to say is because the Tanakama is talking about when it's wet and when it's not wet. So he must be talking about who'd also harushima nika shori, and he allows it when the there's just staining. Tanakama. Therefore, they are both saying the same thing. Ella, we must say nivlu must be something else. Ella nivlu de en rishumanika. You can't see it at all. Low nivlu, but when it's low nivlu, rishumanika means you can still see it. But also Rabbi Yossi lemema kolza shematamchin hu da'asa. Only when it is wet. Harushumanika shori, it is going to be mutter. So now we're going to say that Rabbi Yossi is going to be lakula. Now the Gemara is going to change. But if there is staining, shori, it's going to be allowed. And this says Rashi Tanakama boy almanos lavtiach riyasu machmir. What happens if it can make another thing wet? The Tanakama will hold its mutter. Rabbi Yossi is going to say it's also. So the maskana is we're going to have Rabbi Yossi is going to be machmir. Now the Mishnah says Yored Litzbol im yochalalos. If he went down to the mikveh, he's able to go up. Lemema the Tana stoma krebleza. Our Mishnah must be going according to Blazer, who you want to say Krishma. You want to say Krishma before Neit Tzachama. The Omar ad Haneit Tzachama. You can only read Krishma till Neit Tzachama. Afilatem Reb Yeshua v'Dilma k'Vasikin Dom Reb Yechon Vasikin Ha'Yigorim Osa Im Haneit Tzachama. So what we told over here? So we firstly think our Mishnah will be going according to Blazer. The Reb Blazer says you want to do Krishma with Neit Tzachama. And we can say no, the Mishnah could also be going to call Reb Shua, even though Reb Shua gives you how long? 3 hours to do it. But there are some people who would like to done with the Neit Tzachama. and therefore he's talking about a person who's done vasikin. Let's see Rashi. Let me stomach Rebelez v'halacha kamoisa. Dilma vasikin kalma masnis imanet zachama avalu kalama ad shloishas. But you can do shloishas. So I saw Rabbi Yasha brings down very interesting. What happened? This person over here is. What is he doing? Rabbi Yasha wants to know. I didn't learn the Mishnah originally like this. I learned we're just talking about Krishma. But he brings down, we're talking about davening as well. And the person wants to daven, so so imagine what's happening is he's davening without his clothing on, but he's in the mikveh, and he's davening b'yichidus. He's not davening. He's not davening with a minion, right? So Rabbi Yasha said this can only be for someone who davens everyday nets. Someone who comes along and today, he wants to chap in nets, and while he's in the mikveh, he's not allowed to do it. He has to finish the mikveh and has to go to find a minion to daven. Says Gemara weiter. Yeah. Ve'imla v'chasa b'mayim v'yikra. Hari libo ra es erva. His heart's going to see his erva. Omer Reb Loza v'tema Reb Acha ba'aba. Omer Reb Acha mishum Rabbeinu. B'mayim achuri. We're talking about the water is cloudy. According to Shonu. The dome ka'ara. It's similar to Amar michasa shelo yira libo arvaso. Similarly, like we had beforehand, if you're in sand or if you're in liquid, like we had the case with Isha, that you can be fully underneath, so you can't see the parts. Therefore, the same we're talking about. The water over here is also muddy. Ton Rabbanim, Mayan Slulim. What happens if you go to clear water? Yosh Behem Ad Savaro. You go until you go down until your neck, Vakora, and then you read Krishma. V'yeshomim Orchim Ragla. What you do is you kick with your feet, and then it becomes cloudy. V'tanakama Hare Libo Roes Erva. We're going to have a problem that the heart is seeing the erva. Kasova Libo Roes Erva Muta is no problem. Vari Akvo Roes Erva. And then we see Akeva that his heel is seeing his erva. And we see Rashi says that any part which is normally covered, is considered erva. Vari Libo Roes Erva. Kazal Kadata Kol Eva She'ein Darka Liros Es Erva. Vera is a b'shas shekri b'torah Korean bay v'lo yira ba'erva chadava. So muta v'hara akeva roa es ha'erva k'sava akeva roa es ha'erva muta. Itzma akeva roa es ha'erva muta. Noga if you touched it, Abaya says asa. V'rava says it's muta. Rav Zid mastin la hashmaiti hachi. Rav Chanina breder of Ikav. Masila hochi nagea. If you touched when you crouch down, divakol osa is going to be osa. Roya, but if you just see it, Abai osa. Abai says it's osa, and Rava says it's muta. Lo nosna Torah lemalchei hashares. V'ilchasa. What's the halacha? Nagea is going to be osa. Roy is muta. Omer Rava. Now the Gemara is going to ask a shayla like this is. What happens if you have tsoya, it's in a glass container? You just go to the doctor and he asks you to give him a sample, and and you have it in a container, but it's able to be seen. Is that considered a mechitza? Is that not considered a mechitza? Amarava, so basisa muta likres krishma kenegda. Amarava, so basisa. In a clear thing, muta likres krishma kenegda erva basisa. What happens if a person is naked and you can't see them? Also likres krishma kenegda. So basisa is muta likres krishma. What's the reason? Keneged abasava bekisi tali milsa. What's the whole thing is? You have to have it covered. Now it's got mechitza. It's covered in a container. Mechasya, it is covered. Erva basisis aslikus krishma kenegda v'lo yira bach erva dava, and you're not Omer Rachmana V'haka mechazisa, you can see it. Oma bayit sa kol shehein. Oma sa kol shehu mevatel baroik. Now what happens if you got sa kol shehu mevatel baroik? You can put a bit of spit in it. Oma rova baroik ova. We're talking about with thick spit. Yeah. Omerova, Savo, Baguma. What happens? Soya, you had soya in a guma. What you do? Manicha, Sandra, Oleha, Vakar Krishma. You were able to cover it with your foot and able to read Krishmas. You're not touching it. Vakar Krishma. Boy ma bereid ravina. What happens? So, if it's attached to his shoe, my teku. Can you read Krishma? Can you not teku? Omar Rabbi Yehuda, akum orim. What happens if an akum is naked? Also likras Krishma connector. My area akum. Why am I telling you akum? Afil Yisrael nami. Even if Yisrael, the same halacha applies. Yisrael pshita less pshita later also. El akum it's trichale. Ma'otema hal v'kosa behu asher. That they are they've got the of human beings. Says Gemara bit weiter. Until you put some water into them. The Mishnah says until you put some water. V'kama maya Rami. How much water? You put bit. What's going to happen? Elahokama lo yichasa lo b'mayim haroim v'lo b'mayim mishnah. When it comes, we've got two statements over here. When it comes to going to the mikveh, or if you're not allowed to do anything when you're on the water, which is bad, or klal or meraglayim. Now, if you got urine, achitbol l'soichan mayim, until you put some water into it, and then you can say Krishma. Tan Rabbanon kamiyit l'soichan mayim. How much water do you have to put in? Kolshu, even a small amount, a drop. V'schai omer revius. No, you have to put in a revius of mayim too. Omer Rav Nachman machlokas lebesayf. If there is already meraglayim there, and you want to put a bit of water to mevatel it, but if you're coming along to put water in at the beginning, then you can get away with first put a little bit of water in, and then you put meraglayim in there. There will not be a problem. Rabbi Yosef Oma machlokas lechatchila. The machlokas is when you first put in. If you know you're going to put meraglayim in there, do you have to put in a mashu or do you have to put in a revius? Aval b'soif, but at the end, divrei kol revius, everyone agrees you have to put revius. Omalei Rav Yosef l'shmamei aisili revisa d'mayik Reb Zechariah. Please bring me a revius of water like Reb Zechariah.